Hi everyone, welcome back. It's Moa aka Swedish Whiskey Girl, and today we are here with Berry Bros and Rudd, their Sherry Cask blended malt. And this is their new packaging, which is inspired by the shop windows that they have on their headquarters, but their shop in London. And yeah, I have tried this before, but not in quite a while now, so it will be interesting to have a little closer look at it today. I did a tasting with them the other week to try their new releases for the summer as well, and yeah, they are really interesting. They have traded from the same shop in London since 1698, I believe, and they are a wine and spirits merchants, and they specialize in wine and also spirits. So they have these blended malt selection, which is the sherry cask, a peated one, and bourbon cask. Now I'm really curious to try the bourbon cask after trying this one again, because I think this is a brilliant sherried blended malt that is affordable. I think it retails around £35, and it's just one of those things that for me, it ticks all the boxes of what I want this whiskey to be. It says a 44.2% ABV as well, and you can guess there is some Glenrothes in this blend, even though they don't specify exactly what goes into it, because Berry Bros and Rudd used to own Glenrothes distillery, so and I also heard that they are keeping some stock back. But yeah, we're gonna have a closer look at it. Trying to think. Berry Bros and Rudd also have 2 royal warrants, so yeah, they're a very historic and kind of lovely place of history for wine merchants and spirits merchants. But let's have a little closer look on this whiskey. So like I said, it's a blended malt consisting of single malts from various distilleries. It is whiskies from sherry bots, I think, primarily. So yeah, let's have a nose. On first glance, you definitely get the sherry. It's no doubt about it, and it's also one of those things that it isn't punchy on the nose, which I think is due to the ABV, but it has a lot of things going on. It's a bit of like cherry notes, a little bit of nuttiness. It almost reminds me slightly of a Disaronno on the nose, just that slight almondy cherry notes, but then it also has like a leather note. It's quite a lot of fruitiness in it. Some wood, but one of the things I really like about this one is that it doesn't feel dry or super woody on first glance. And I think this bottle is also signed by Ronnie Cox and Doug McIver, who was doing the tasting with us, and they just seem like 2 gentlemen who have some really good stories to tell. It was definitely one of those, I've done quite a few Zoom tastings and just sitting on Zoom chats and talking to a lot of people over the past year due to everything that's been going on. But this was definitely one of the better ones. They were fascinating to listen to. Ronnie had some amazing stories about the history of the Berry Bros and Rudd. And Doug, who is, the spirits curator, who's creating these blends, he was talking about how he doesn't want this sherried blend to be too dry or too woody, so I think he's done a great job of achieving that. It's a little bit floral as well, but like a savoury floral note, so almost a little bit like a salty floral note. But let's have a little taste. Sláinte. It is interesting because on the palate, it has a taste that makes me think that it's going to be dry, but then it never kicks in, and it's quite mouth-watering. And now when I breathe out, it has a lovely finish of flavours, of sherry flavours that would feel like, I would associate them with a drier sensation. But it has something about it that makes it feel quite velvety and quite, just quite balanced. I mean, if you like a drier sensation with your sherry, a sherried blend or a sherried whiskey, then maybe this isn't for you. But for me, this is what I want. I don't want it to be dry. I don't want it to be too woody. I want the lovely flavours, but I don't want to I don't want to lose out on the flavours to get rid of the dry sensation, and I don't want to have too much of the dry sensation just because I want flavours. It's quite leathery as well, this one for me. I also think it sits at a nice ABV. Has a bit of a spicy note to it, which is a bit of that kind of floral touch, but also I think it's cinnamon. Cinnamon, but it has a soft edge to it. It's almost like it would be like a cinnamon, I don't want to say cinnamon cake, because sometimes the way I see tasting notes in my head is that I say something, I'm like, oh, like maybe cinnamon cakes, and then my brain goes, no, that's not it. So it's not cinnamon cakes, but it's cinnamon and something that just makes it, this is the shape, it makes it round and it makes it more velvety. It definitely has a sweetness to it, and it's like, it's a little bit like freshly made cinnamon buns. On the nose more than on the palate. Because the palate for me has more of a fruitiness. Maybe it is cherries. And maybe some pear. Because it's this kind of, the texture of cherries and pears has a lot of water in it, and that's kind of fruitiness that I'm getting. But it's not as sweet as grapes. Interesting. It definitely has a slight bitter element to it, that kind of cinnamon meets up with the wood, but that's totally fine in my book because it's just the flavour of it. It brings a little bit of a bitterness, which means that on the palate the flavour kind of clings onto your palate a little bit more, but it doesn't just kind of, if you've ever had too much cinnamon, you know that kind of dry sensation that you get, or if you've had some whiskies that are very kind of wood heavy, you tend to get that as well. But no, I think I like this even before the tasting, but the tasting of it and hearing more about the way Doug works with it and just hearing more about Berry Bros and Rudd just makes me like it even more, I think. And it's, yeah, if you're looking for a sherried whiskey that can be kind of an everyday sipper, this is a great one. And I really, really want to try the bourbon one, because you know how I'm, well, if you watched the videos before, you might know that I am a big fan of bourbon casks. And if the bourbon cask is anything like what this one is as a concept, I think that could be really nice. I'd also love to go to London soon. We're actually trying to plan a trip whenever we can go, and maybe go see a distillery down there and visit the Berry Bros and Rudd shop. So hopefully we can go to London soon. I mean, I'd love to hear what you think about Berry Bros and Rudd. Have you tried this one? This is the same one as the previous packaging, it's just that this is the new one. Looks like that. And yeah, have you tried the peated one? Have you tried the sherried? Have you tried the bourbon? Have you tried all three perhaps? Let me know which one's your favourite in the comments here below. And of course, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, I'd be so happy if you'd leave a thumbs up or perhaps subscribe if you haven't already. And if you do want to support the channel, I have put my affiliate links to Master Malt, the Whisky Exchange and the Scotch Malt Whisky Society in the little box here below, as well as links to my other social channels if you are curious about those. And as always, I do want to say a massive thank you to my wonderful supporters on Patreon. I am so grateful that you want to be with me on my whisky journey. But I hope you're all having a lovely day, a lovely July, and enjoying some summer. It's way too hot for me. I can't wait for autumn. But yeah, and I'd love to hear what your summer drams are, so please let me know that as well. But I will see you in the next video. Sláinte Skål!